Hello and welcome here to macOS 10 Screencasts. This week is all about two applications made by the good folks of Eternal Storms Software. They do two applications, among others, called Yoink and ScreenFloat. Both applications come in very handy. I will tell you about them in the following screencasts. They are sponsoring macOS 10 screencasts, so I'm very proud to tell you about both applications, and you can be 100% sure I wouldn't take any sponsorship from anyone whom I'm not 100% sure they make great products. So I hope you enjoy the screencast. Until next time, bye. Let's take a look at Yoink first. Yoink is basically a drag stack for files, folders and other dragged items. It's especially useful for full screen apps. In full screen apps like Mail, it can be used for dragging a file from Finder's desktop to a new Mail message window. Normally you would go to a space where your file is visible, click on it and start dragging. Then you would hold some weird keyboard combination or do some gesture to get back to the destination and then let the file go. With Yoink, this operation becomes much easier. Let's say we write a mail message to a colleague and need to attach a picture and some other file. We go to the source folder, and as soon as we start dragging, Yoink pops out and offers an area to temporarily store the image. We can add more files by repeating the previous steps, for instance an invoice that I have here in DevonThink. Again, just click, drag and put it in Yoink. Now that these items are in Yoink, we see some small icons representing each file. Quick Look is built in and works for both files. We can remove files individually by clicking this X symbol, or all files all together by clicking this small X symbol here. In my case, I don't want to do this. What I want to do is I want to attach these two files to my mail message. Here you see Yoink's usefulness already in action. We can collect files from different sources without worrying about the email message. We can write the email, and once we realize what files this person needs, we put them on Yoink and then drag them in to complete our mail message. All I need to do is make some room for my picture here, drag it in from Yoink, and now it's attached. Can do the same for the invoice. Then I click Choose File and it's attached as well. Let me just undo this last step, because we can also reverse these steps as well. Just click the file in Mail, start dragging and put it on Yoink. This way we can also easily get files out of an email message into the Finder or some other app. Yoink is a really handy application, assisting by day-to-day activities like the one just described. In the next section, we're going to take a look at some of the preferences and a more advanced usage example. To get to Yoink's preferences, all you have to do is launch Yoink again. Or click the small tool icon in the window, or click the menu bar icon in case it's enabled. Because once it's there, you're gonna see that Yoink's menu bar icon can also be disabled. We can also set a preferred position, left or right edge of the main display, whether to move Yoink's window once the drag operation is initiated, as well as some other settings like to keep or remove items once they are dragged out, and whether to follow links and aliases. In the last section, I'd like to give you an advanced usage example of what you can do with Yoink for productivity-oriented people. On my machine, I write emails before they go out in a text editor. Once they are in a state I'm almost satisfied with the message, I tend to keep them around for a couple of minutes to think about my message before finally sending them. You could put all these messages and things you need to do in a not too far in the future time window on Yoink. This way you always see these things that still need to be finished. This can be handy for creative people who are working on multiple things successively and come back to a document to revise it multiple times before it's finally done. One example are the aforementioned email messages. I tend to keep those in Yoink, and before I'm going to send them, I double click them in Yoink, finish my text, then go to TextEdit, Services, New Email with Selection. I also tend to have my to-do list simply on Yoink, so that I always have an overview of things that I still need to be doing. This is really handy because I can come back to Yoink and don't have to worry about things that need to be finished. They're just there. ScreenFloat is an app that is best shown in its actual usage. For me, its most valuable feature is comparing two settings windows from multiple windows that need to be the same. Let me first show you how you would do this without ScreenFloat. Let's assume you're in Final Cut Pro and need to set some sequence to the same settings as this one. And then, yes, we could do one of two things. First, we could write down each and every parameter as diligently as possible into a text file. Secondly, we could take a screenshot of this window and try to keep both settings windows on top. Let's see how well a text file does. First, I need to write down each parameter separately and its value. To speed up the process, I'm going to increase the speed of this video. As you can imagine, this took me a while. Now to actually transfer these settings to the other sequence, all we have to do is to keep both windows on top. So I go to the other sequences settings, and then the main part begins. It would be good if I could have both windows on top, so it's much easier to compare the two settings. But without ScreenFloat, I constantly have to Command Tab between two applications to compare the settings. I'm now going to transfer the settings to the other application. As you've seen, the Command Tab switching between two applications is really annoying, and transferring settings this way is cumbersome and awkward. Now let's see how ScreenShot does. First, to write down the settings of this window, all I have to do is take a screenshot, then go to the preview window and try to keep this window on top while transferring the settings. Taking this screenshot took actually a bit less time than the previous writing down of each parameter. But after taking a screenshot of this window, it's actually much the same as previously. All I have to do is Command Tabbing between the two applications to transfer the settings from one sequence to the other. All in all, both solutions aren't very, let's say, fulfilling. Now let's see how ScreenFloat does any better. First of all, ScreenFloat uses a special shortcut to activate screenshot taking. Once that shortcut is pressed, we see the standard OS X crosshair appear. We can toggle between taking a full window screenshot and an area screenshot with space. Then click on the window and we're gonna see a new floating window appear with that settings window. Now let me temporarily move this out of focus. Then we go to the next settings window, and then we go to the next settings window. Now, because our screenshot is floating atop, we don't have to switch applications constantly. ScreenFloat's screenshot is there without ScreenFloat itself being in the foreground. Comparing is now easy and straightforward. And that's why I love ScreenFloat. Once you had this or a similar problem, you now know that you don't have to suffer anymore. There's a solution to this kind of problem, and the name is ScreenFloat.